everyone, it's Coeval here. Got another match between Strength Power DX and myself. It's quite a competitive game, and DX is using a ritual book. We just had a huge update, and a lot of changes were made. Ice Shield was made 4 uses, Wind was added to the game, Bounce was added to the game, Swarm was made turn 2 instead of turn 1, and also 1 use, so you can only have, or not 1 use, but you can only have 1 out at a time. So lots of changes here were made that affect the kind of meta of the meta of 60G, and so right now players are just kind of exploring, okay, what books work and what books don't, and DX is trying out a ritual book, and I'll put the book on the screen so you guys can see. But yeah, this is a new book I haven't seen, so you know, it's expected that I might get caught off guard with some of the spells, but we'll see, how I deal with it. So let's get it started. DX ponders his T1 move here. Not sure exactly what he wants to do. Also, I should mention DX did a live commentary of this match on his channel, and so if you guys want to go check that out, I can put a link in the description. So he goes with the Blood Bank. Blood Bank is interesting. Why is it interesting? Well, because it's not really something that's expected to go with a ritual book. You don't really mix Book of Blood and Book of Wilds, at least I haven't really seen it. But one thing that's great about Blood Bank is it's available turn 1. And because Swarm isn't available turn 1, well, you gotta have another option turn 1 here. And another option that's available turn 1 is also Drone. And so you can see that the meta's already kind of shifting. We're using different turn 1 strategies and opting not to go for Swarm. So he bites my drone off, he glides too, but I say nope. I watched my own Flash tutorial and I flashed him off. And just wanted to say that, yeah, in his live commentary he's like, oh shit, I didn't know that was gonna work. So yeah, I guess make your day or week or month if you impress DX, one of the best 60Gers on this game. So he makes an interesting move here. He puts the Swarm inside the tree. For whatever reason, that actually stacks the tree. I guess because the tree's alive, so essentially you would think of the tree as like a live minion, and because the Swarm is on top of this live minion, the aura does 30 damage to the tree instead of 15. So the reason he puts the Swarm inside the tree is because he knows, oh, he can just tank 30 damage, it's no big deal, and then eventually he can blast from the past out. And the tree will die faster, right? Because he's stacking it. So yeah, again, just think of the tree as a live minion, the Swarm's on top of it, and the tree's below it, so it stacks for a 15 plus 15. So kind of an interesting side note that I really hadn't thought about in a long time, to be honest. So yeah, but that's subtle. He pops his mushrooms, which is a 25 heal, I think. Let's see. Okay, 15 heal. 25 if you have ritual, which he didn't empower it yet. So I'm in a great position here. I've got map control. The only thing that I could have done is, remember a few turns ago I hopped down off this castle and I lost top control. I couldn't get back up, right? And so now I'm kind of stuck in this area on the left side of the map. And so in hindsight I should have waited a second, thought out my move first before just hopping down there without knowing what I was going to do, because then I could have this whole rest of the map to deal with, or to work with. So I'm in a great position. The snares are just ticking it away at DX's tower, and he really doesn't have any mobility. I see if I can jump up there with the Pegasus. It doesn't quite work, the angle's not right. And I move the Pegasus down. DX mentions that you have to move the Pegasus down just to limit the movement of his minions. And if I don't move the Pegasus down, I think he called it like a terrible move, one of the worst moves or whatever, something really dramatic. It is what it is. But it's more of a subtle micro thing that if you don't do, you allow your opponent to kind of get a subtle tempo advantage or edge. So he gates back up top. He realizes, okay, I have to fight for map control. and I don't have Dark Knight out yet, right? So he can safely gate up top. I want to free my Pegasus, so I flash it out. Often, I think Nicaray said this in his previous videos, often flashing out a minion is just as good or even better than summoning another. So he cast the leap. That was how he was able to launch himself all the way over to that castle, and he ice shields the swarm. Keep in mind, ice shield is 4 uses, and that's his first one, but he uses it to great effect. Now I'm gonna need what, 2 blasts from the past to get it out to the left and to the right, or 1 blast from the past to get it out to the left. And so I bring out my own Dark Knight, and here I think what would be good is to summon a drone and then maybe Starbolt, which is the ability that the drone has. It's a little bolt spell that has 2 separate bolts. So it would hit once, hit the ice shield here, and then hit the ice shield here. And then I could free my swarm. So I think getting a drone out here is a good play. Instead I do the tree. I think I was waiting for a Pegasus, but in hindsight, like, that tree does nothing because he can just get free and I'm trapped on the left side of the map. So maybe summoning a drone out at that point was fine. The only issue with that then is I don't have a slot for a Pegasus, and so yeah, it becomes difficult for me to manage my minion slots because I've got a Pegasus trapped at the bottom of the map here. But you know, I do remember I had 1 turn on Pegasus, so I just had to quote-unquote waste a move. And if I do drone there, then yeah, I'm maxed on minion count. So then I can't get a Pegasus out to try and threaten to jump the DK over. But he makes a nice play here by putting a snare down so that I can't jump the DK over easily. And this is my first misplay of the game because I straight up give him an undead Pegasus. I think what would have been better is to just put the Pegasus next to the live tree and then just drain the tree and the Pegasus with the Dark Knight, because then I get 160 health on the Dark Knight, and also I know that he has Ritual Spear, which is 95 damage, so you can kill my Dark Knight in 1 shot with a Blast from the Past and then a Ritual Spear. But if I move the Pegasus over to the tree, drain it, then he's at 160, and it's much more threatening. So yeah, thinking that over, I think that's a much better play. Unfortunately, I misplay here. What is it, turn 12? Yeah, and you know, it doesn't quite turn the tide of the game yet, but it's something that I'm going to have to deal with now, the fact that he's got an undead Pegasus down there. And yeah, what did the flash really do for me? I didn't even free my Pegasus, right? So yeah, it was kind of a wasted move. Well, not kind of, it was. So you'll see, yeah, his Pegasus gains a shit ton of HP. Fortunately, he can't get the swarm out, but it's not like that would have made much of a difference because it can't get out from above the tower here. But he's able to drain me with the Pegasus, and you know, gain some tempo that way, or just get some, you know, free damage out on me, increase the health of his Pegasus, so it's harder to kill. You know, I don't have anything in my book really that helps me to kill an 83 health Pegasus, now 108 actually. He goes for the Spear Lob, just because, you know, it's a safe risk right now at this point. But again, small sort of, I guess we'll call that a mistake. Small mistake. Small mistakes in 60 Grassy, you know, they can allow your opponent to just gain a little bit of momentum. So I try to tower there so that I can free the swarm, or maybe open up to Pebble him. And I use a Blast from the Past. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but you know, Pebble can be kind of janky when it comes to trying to aim it with terrain close to you. So he casts Leap again, and then he does a perfect Ice Shield. You notice it curves right around my tower, so that now I need to use another Blast from the Past to the left to get to my minions, or for my minions to get to me. So instead of doing that, I just decided to flash it open. He towers, which is a safe play. He empowers his Ferocious Strike, which, just so you guys know, remember what that does, it increases the area of effect of the Ferocious Strike. So basically when he uses that spell, the Strike spell, it's basically like a flash, but it does 50 damage, so it really clears a lot of land. So in DX's live commentary, he was debating, where to place this tree, and he ultimately decided that if he places it anywhere but right there, then the DK just gets up on the Pegasus, jumps to the other Pegasus, and kills his Dark Knight. So he makes a great play, traps the Dark Knight here, and I just charge it out, which is again a fine play to just slowly sort of threaten some tempo moves. And he's not able to get his Dark Knight over. He does have Pegasus now though, so he's going to again make a threat. And as you can see in these sort of high level 60 Grassy matches, it's just a game of making a threat, responding to a threat, making a threat, responding to a threat, etc. So I make the decision to charge with the Dark Knight and kill his, and then we'll just do a trade. Now again, as I said, another option that I had early on, instead of doing that terrible flash, would be to drain the tree in the Pegasus, a few turns ago when I mentioned that, and then the Dark Knight would have been at 160, he wouldn't have been able to make that play. So, I would have been in a great position. And to be honest, I was pretty much winning until that flash that I made when I could have, healed up the Dark Knight. So, but now it's a little bit unclear. We're heading toward a draw at this point. But again, the game continues. Another note too is that if I charge that Dark Knight through his Dark Knight a little bit over to the left or maybe downward, then maybe he can't spear it from his tower and he would have to de-tower. So just a subtle thing. He brings his bank over, maybe to trap the Pegasus, I think. And at this point, I've got Snare, I've got Drone, I've got Spear, so we both kind of have to win this game with Swarms. So it's gonna be a pretty slow grindy match. But again, even here, I think I'm totally, in a winning position. I've got a Drone out on my side. I've got a Swarm out. I'm about to kill his Swarm and damage his tower. I've got an extra Peg. So I'm feeling great at this point. Going toe-to-toe with this overpowered Ritual book. Yeah, if I didn't mention it before, I don't think I did. Ritual is actually doesn't end the turn anymore. Last patch it did, but now it doesn't, and it makes it so overpowered. So he Ice Shields the Swarm. That's his third Ice Shield. Notice how he used his Ice Shields perfectly. That's mine, but he used this one to trap a minion, or to trap me in, around the tower. And then he used one earlier to trap a Swarm, I believe, and then this one to trap another Swarm. And so he's using his Ice Shields to perfect effect, which is something that, yeah, if you're new to the game, it's really valuable to learn. Especially now that, yeah, they are for use, so you have to be very careful about about how you use them, pretty much. So here I kill his bank, and I tried to aim for him, but I did not. I did not get to him. In hindsight, why not free my Swarm? And just aim for one part of the Ice Shield, aim for another part of the Ice Shield, so that now my Swarm's out, right? And what does this damage do? I mean, I hurt my own Pegasus for one. Yeah, I killed his bank, but I mean, he's at 250 health. Is a bank really going to do much at this point? So, I don't know. I think I had my priorities a little bit out of whack here. And Unfortunately, I didn't choose to free my minion. And on top of that, this is a fatal mistake because I didn't glide here, and so he's actually able to get a knock. So instead of this, I should have just stood where he just was, in that little area next to that snare. Yeah, he does have a snare there, but you know, maybe I could stand like on this part of the ice shield where these two little ice circles or crystals or whatever are formed. And then, you know, it'd be very difficult for him to knock me, or I could just activate my glide and ensure that he doesn't knock. Free my swarm, and I don't know, maybe move this peg over a little bit so that that jump is not possible anymore, and then a knock just becomes impossible, right? So yeah, I didn't think about that until now. So there was ways to prevent that, but unfortunately I lose a shit ton of momentum now because he's able to knock me. But you know, still not over. Although he's able to free his Pegasus, right? And he's got a 5 health one right there. And he can just jump over to mount his other Pegasus. And I don't know, I think he's maybe going to trap me here. How, I don't quite remember. If he chooses to Ice Shield here, I think it's still on cooldown. Okay, he decides to just do a tower. He probably didn't have the cooldowns for other stuff. Now here I should just trap him with the drone and tower, but I actually blast from the past and I Q. Now this is just a case of nerves, I think, just because I realized, oh crap, I screwed up. And I was like, I don't know how to get out of this. And the reality is, now that he's got so many Pegasum, now that he's got all these Pegasum around, like I'm lost, you know, there's not much that I can do. And so I just got a little bit nervous and ran low on time and queued. Okay, that didn't lose me the game, it was previous moves that lost me the game, but the Q obviously doesn't help. And now I'm down 4 minions, 3 minions actually, but the one that's alive is in Ice Shield, so basically down 4 minions. I tree the side because I want to prep the side hide. Kind of an empty move at this point. But yeah, as you can see, I think in hindsight, just positioning my Pegasus a little bit differently so that I can prevent him from jumping over and knocking me, and maybe positioning myself a little bit better so that he doesn't knock me, and also just activating glide in the first place. So those 3 things, doing those 3 things would put me in a fantastic position, still able to, you know, compete. But unfortunately, he uses his last Ice Shield again to great effect. Now my drone is trapped, and he is just digging. He's, you know, Ferocious Strike with that AoE is a huge anti-stall weapon. You can just flash down, or strike down I should say, and so that's what he does. So very methodical play here by DX. And so now this win con is trivial for him. Surround me with pegs and do nothing. He actually chooses to free his Pegasus over here. You didn't see the drain there, but there was a piece of land that was trapping the peg. He decides to drain it to free his other peg. Just as insurance, he also might have known or thought that his 30 health peg was going to die anyway. But no matter, he's got a whole reserve, that whole army, militia of undead Pegasum, which is what I'm calling them now. I know it's wrong. Don't flame me in the comments. And so, as I said, surround me with pegs, and at this point, DX was like, he's lost, and I'm like, I'm lost. So, what move do I have here? I'm still gonna fight. The only move is pretty much to teleport out. I think that's an okay spot to prolong the game. Granted, he does have 47 Pegasum, so he's able to just trap me again with them. And yeah, again, it's pretty trivial at this point. Maybe I want to tower out to prolong the game, but there's not much I can do to gain my momentum back. And again, it came down to 2 turns, the flash early on in the game, where instead I could have drained the Dark Knight to, or had the Dark Knight drain some stuff to get health, and then the second big mistake was allowing him to knock me with the strike, which again was preventable, which I talked through a few turns ago, just a couple minutes ago. But yeah, lots to learn from this game. It was a really competitive, close match, even though it may not look like it right now. You know, I like to think this wasn't like absolute domination, because it only came down to just 2 or 3 pretty small mistakes. Like, you know, maybe a professional like 60 Grassy player or a very experienced, you know, veteran player might say that these were huge blunders, but you know, when it comes down to it, like, you know, flashing instead of draining, and just sort of subtle micro positioning things like with my Pegasus and with myself, and forgetting to glide, you know, those are pretty micro things. So and we both got serious wands, which is awesome. But yeah, a real competitive game. Hope you guys enjoyed kind of displaying this new ritual book, and my book also was quite new with snare and spear and drone. You're gonna see a lot of these turn 1 minions like bank, drone, maybe egg show up in 60 Grassy because swarm was nerfed, and so people are just not using it quite as much. They still have it in their books, but it's not people's turn 1 move of choice. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this match, and yeah, leave a comment if you want to see other matches between DX and I. They seem to be quite competitive. He definitely has my number, but you know, the only way you can learn is to just play players who, yeah, play the game better than you. So anyway, really enjoyed this game. Hope you guys liked the commentary. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.